The cosmic castaways. The night sky above the Atacama Desert in Chile erupted in a dazzling display of emerald and sapphire streaks. At first, the astronomers at the Very Large Telescope Array thought they were witnessing an unprecedented meteor shower. But as the ethereal lights coalesced into distinct shapes, a chill ran down their spines. This was no natural phenomenon. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, lead astronomer, frantically dialed her superiors. "We have multiple unknowns entering the atmosphere. This is not a drill." Within minutes, the global early warning network lit up like a Christmas tree. From the remote sensing stations in Antarctica to the orbital defense platforms, every system screamed the same message. First contact was upon them. As dawn broke over the world's major cities, citizens awoke to emergency broadcasts and the sight of military jets streaking across the sky. Social media exploded with shaky footage of crystalline shapes descending through the clouds, their surfaces refracting sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. In New York, Tokyo, and Lagos, crowds gathered in the streets, a mix of awe and terror on their faces. Doomsday preppers retreated to their bunkers, while others reached out to loved ones, unsure if this would be their last chance. At the United Nations headquarters, an emergency session was called. World leaders connected via secure channels, their faces grim as they contemplated humanity's response to this unprecedented event. "Ladies and gentlemen," the Secretary General began, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "It appears we are no longer alone in the universe. The question before us now is, are they friend or foe?" As if in answer, the alien fleet, now visibly comprised of ships that resembled nothing so much as colossal, multifaceted gems, began broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was simple, repeating in every known human language. "We come in peace. We seek sanctuary. Please help us." The plea was met with skepticism by many. Admiral Chen of the Chinese Space Force argued, "It could be a trick, a way to lower our defenses before they strike." Others, like Dr. Amelia Okafor of the African Union's Xenobiology Department, cautioned patience. If they meant us harm, why announce themselves? Why not simply attack? As the debate raged, the alien ships maintained their position in high orbit, making no aggressive moves. After hours of tense discussion, a decision was reached. Earth would send a delegation to meet the visitors, but on neutral ground, the International Lunar Gateway Station. The chosen team was a mix of diplomats, scientists, and military personnel from various nations. As their shuttle approached the looming crystalline mothership, Captain Samir Patel of the Indian Space Agency couldn't help but feel a sense of vertigo. The alien vessel dwarfed anything humanity had ever constructed in space. A docking tube extended from the ship, its surface rippling like water. As the team stepped through, they found themselves in an environment that defied conventional physics. Gravity shifted subtly with each step, and the walls seemed to phase between solid and ethereal states. And then they saw them, the Zephyrians. Beings of pure energy, pulsating with colors that hurt the human eye to look at directly. Each was encased in a crystalline shell that seemed to barely contain their essence. The leader, introducing itself as Sarlith, floated forward. Its voice resonated directly in the minds of the human delegation. "Greetings, children of Earth. We thank you for this audience." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, xenolinguist, stepped forward. "We welcome you to our solar system. You spoke of seeking sanctuary. From what do you flee?" The energy within Sarlith's form swirled turbulently, conveying a sense of deep sorrow. "We fled from shame, from rejection, from a galaxy that has deemed us unworthy of existence." Over the next few hours, the Zephyrians shared their tragic tale. They were once members of the Galactic Confederation, a collective of advanced species that spanned the Milky Way. But the Confederation valued strength, physical, martial, and technological. The Zephyrians, with their fragile forms and focus on theoretical sciences and philosophy, were seen as weak, useless. "We were given an ultimatum," Sarlith explained. its form dimming with each word. Surrender our young for repurposing or face extinction. We chose exile instead. The human delegation was stunned. The idea of a galactic community should have been cause for celebration. Instead, it filled them with dread. As the team returned to Earth, heated debates erupted in government chambers and public forums alike. The Zephyrian story had been broadcast globally, and opinions were sharply divided. Isolationists argued for turning the aliens away. We can't risk drawing the attention of this confederation, they claimed. Let the Zephyrians find sanctuary elsewhere. Humanitarian groups countered with protests and petitions. Signs reading "Refugees Welcome" and "Humanity First in Compassion" filled the streets. Scientists salivated at the potential knowledge to be gained. Think of what we could learn, they argued. The Zephyrians' understanding of quantum mechanics alone could revolutionize our technology. Military leaders were split. Some saw the Zephyrians as a potential asset in the face of a hostile galaxy. Others feared they would be a drain on resources, a vulnerable point in Earth's defenses. As the debate raged, a Zephyrian child, a smaller, brighter energy form, phased through the hull of their ship in a moment of curiosity. The world watched in awe as it floated among the stars, manipulating light and matter with ease before being gently guided back by its elders. This display of their true capabilities shifted the conversation. The Zephyrians weren't helpless after all. They were different. Their powers, while not martial, were awe-inspiring. After a week of global referendums and UN sessions, a decision was reached. Earth would grant the Zephyrians temporary sanctuary, while they assessed the situation and prepared for potential consequences. As news of the decision reached the Zephyrian fleet, their crystalline ships pulsed with vibrant colors, a display of joy and gratitude visible from the ground. Zarlith's voice echoed in the minds of every human on the planet. Thank you, people of Earth. Your compassion will not be forgotten. Together, perhaps we can forge a future brighter than either of us could alone. As the Zephyrian ships began their descent to designated landing zones, humanity held its breath. For better or worse, Earth had just taken its first steps onto the galactic stage. The age of isolation was over. In the coming days, as humans and Zephyrians began the delicate dance of coexistence, one thing became clear. Both species had much to learn from each other. And in the face of a hostile galaxy, they would need every advantage they could get. The cosmic castaways had found a home, but the real challenge was just beginning. For in the depths of space, the Galactic Confederation had taken notice of the little blue planet that dared to defy the natural order. The clock was ticking, and the fate of two species now hung in the balance. Shattered stereotypes. The Nevada desert shimmered under the scorching sun, heat waves distorting the horizon. In the distance, a sprawling complex of gleaming domes and crystalline spires rose from the sand. New Harmony, the newly established settlement for Earth's extraterrestrial refugees. Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov wiped sweat from his brow as he approached the iridescent force field surrounding the compound. As lead scientist for the Human Zephyrian Integration Project, he'd been tasked with studying their new alien allies. So far, progress had been frustratingly slow. They're energy beings of incalculable intelligence, he muttered to himself, yet they can't seem to grasp the concept of a doorknob. As if to punctuate his thought, a young Zephyrian named Elio phased through the force field, its crystalline shell vibrating with excitement. Greetings, Dr. Kuznetsov. I have made a fascinating discovery about your world. Alexei sighed, bracing himself. Last week, Elio had been amazed by the quantum properties of bubble wrap. What is it this time, Elio? The Zephyrian's form pulsed rapidly, a sign Alexei had learned to interpret as enthusiasm. Your species creates art by manipulating pigments to reflect specific wavelengths of light. It's brilliant. You mean painting? Yes, painting. Such an elegant way to communicate complex emotions through a static medium. We must incorporate this into our cultural exchange program immediately. Alexei couldn't help but smile. For all their advanced knowledge, the Zephyrians found wonder in the most mundane aspects of human life. It was endearing, if occasionally exasperating. As they walked through New Harmony, Alexei marveled at the changes wrought in just a few short months. Zephyrian architecture melded seamlessly with human engineering, creating structures that seemed to defy physics. In one plaza, a group of human children were being taught to manipulate simple energy fields by a patient Zephyrian elder. "Elio," Alexei began, "I've been meaning to ask. Your people clearly have incredible powers. Phasing through matter, manipulating energy. Why did the Galactic Confederation consider you weak?" The vibrant colors within Elio's form dimmed slightly. "Ah, you've touched upon the great paradox of our existence, Doctor. You see, while we can perform feats that seem wondrous to your kind, we lack substance." To demonstrate, Elio extended a tendril of energy towards a nearby rock. The stone lifted off the ground, enveloped in a soft glow. But as Elio tried to move it further, the strain became evident. The crystalline shell crackled with effort, and after a few seconds, the rock tumbled back to the earth. "We can manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe," Elio explained, a tinge of sadness in its mental voice. "But sustained action in the physical realm is challenging. The Confederation values the ability to build, to fight, to endure. We were seen as little more than sentient calculators." Alexei placed a comforting hand near Elio's shell, careful not to make contact with the energized surface. "Well, their loss is our gain. Come on, let's head to the lab. We're running those new quantum entanglement tests today." As they entered the research facility, alarms suddenly blared to life. Red lights flashed as a voice boomed over the speakers. "Containment breach in Sector 7. All personnel evacuate immediately." Alexei's blood ran cold. Sector 7 was where they kept the experimental dark matter samples. If those were exposed, he turned to warn Elio, but the Zephyrian was already moving, its form stretching into a brilliant streak of light as it phased through walls towards the danger. By the time Alexei reached Sector 7, he was greeted by an impossible sight. The dark matter, a roiling mass of anti-light, was suspended in midair, contained within a spherical field of scintillating energy. Elio, along with two other Zephyrians, danced around the sphere, their forms elongated and intertwined as they maintained the containment field. For 10 tense minutes, the Zephyrians worked in perfect harmony, their energies pulsing in complex patterns as they neutralized the dark matter. When it was over, Elio collapsed, its crystalline shell flickering weakly. As medical teams rushed in, Alexei cradled Elio's form. "That was incredible. How did you?" Elio's response came faintly. "Simple application of nth-dimensional string theory, Doctor. Child's play, really. Though I admit, I am rather tired now." The incident at the research facility made headlines worldwide. Overnight, the perception of the Zephyrians shifted. They weren't just refugees. They were beings of incredible potential who had selflessly put themselves at risk to save human lives. In the weeks that followed, human-Zephyrian cooperation entered a new phase. Scientists from both species worked tirelessly, combining Zephyrian theoretical knowledge with human practical application. Breakthroughs came rapidly. A team in Japan developed a prototype quantum computer that operated on principles previously thought impossible, revolutionizing data processing overnight. Brazilian engineers, working with Zephyrian energy manipulators, created the first functional cold fusion reactor, promising to end the world's energy crisis. In a secret facility beneath the Indian Ocean, human telepaths trained alongside Zephyrians, pushing the boundaries of mental communication. But as public excitement grew, so did the shadows of doubt and fear. In the halls of power, some saw the Zephyrians' growing influence as a threat. Senator Harriet Blackwood addressed a closed session of the UN Security Council, her voice dripping with barely concealed disdain. "These aliens arrive on our doorstep, spinning tales of persecution, and we welcome them with open arms. Now, barely half a year later, they have access to our most sensitive research, our most advanced technologies. At what point do we admit we've been played for fools? Her words found sympathetic ears. Task forces were quietly assembled to monitor Zephyrian activities. Military leaders began drafting contingency plans for a worst-case scenario. Meanwhile, in the corporate world, the promise of Zephyrian-inspired tech sent stock markets soaring. Tech giants and upstart firms alike raced to patent every new innovation. The line between collaboration and exploitation grew increasingly blurred. Alexei watched these developments with growing unease. The Zephyrians, for their part, seemed largely oblivious to the undercurrents of human politics. They continued to approach every interaction with childlike wonder and enthusiasm. One evening, as he shared a meal with Elio, or rather, ate while Elio absorbed ambient electromagnetic radiation, Alexei voiced his concerns. "I worry we're not ready for all this, Elio. The change is happening. They're too fast. People are scared." Elio's form shimmered thoughtfully. "Fear is a natural response to the unknown. Alexei, your species has shown remarkable adaptability. And remember, we Zephyrians have much to fear as well. The Confederation's reach is vast, and we have defied their edict by coming here." Alexei nodded, picking at his food. "I suppose we're all in this together then, for better or worse." As if on cue, both their communication devices chimed simultaneously. The message was brief but sent a chill down Alexei's spine. "ALERT. Unknown object detected at edge of solar system. Size and energy signature consistent with Galactic Confederation vessel. All personnel report to emergency stations immediately." Alexei and Elio locked eyes, or whatever passed for eyes in Elio's case. The moment they had both dreaded and anticipated had finally arrived. Humanity's isolation was truly at an end, and the next few days would determine the fate of both their species. As they rushed from the room, neither noticed the small drone that detached itself from the ceiling, its camera lens glinting as it followed their departure. In a hidden bunker halfway across the world, Senator Blackwood smiled coldly as she watched the feed. "And so it begins," she murmured. "May God have mercy on us all." The chess pieces were set. Now, the real game would begin. Echoes of tyranny. The mood in the United Nations emergency session was tense enough to snap a steel cable. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat in grim silence as they watched the holographic display dominating the center of the chamber. It showed a massive object, easily the size of a small moon, decelerating as it approached the outskirts of the solar system. Secretary General Adira Khoury's voice cut through the murmurs of dismay. "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I need to explain the gravity of our situation. The Galactic Confederation has arrived, and we must decide, here and now, how humanity will respond." Admiral Helena Chen of the newly formed Earth Defense Fleet stood, her weathered face a mask of determination. "Our options are limited. The technological gap between us and the Confederation is vast, even with recent Zephyrian-inspired advancements. A direct confrontation would be inadvisable. Then we hand over the Zephyrians." The question came from the Russian delegate, his voice a mix of fear and pragmatism. "Perhaps if we comply with their demands, they'll leave us in peace." A ripple of murmurs swept through the chamber, some nodding in agreement, others shaking their heads in disgust. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's screens flickered to life. A face appeared, if it could be called a face. Multiple eyes blinked in unsettling asymmetry across a gray, leathery visage. When it spoke, its voice was a grating screech that made several delegates wince. "People of Earth, I am General Vexcor of the Galactic Confederation. Your planet harbors fugitives from Confederation justice. Surrender the Zephyrian refugees immediately, or face the consequences of your defiance." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Secretary General Khoury was the first to recover. "It seems the choice has been made for us. We must." Her words were cut short as the screens came to life once more. This time, the face that appeared was human. Senator Harriet Blackwood's sharp features were set in a grim expression. "Madam Secretary, esteemed colleagues, before we make any rash decisions, I believe you all need to see this." The central hologram flickered, replacing the image of the Confederation ship with what appeared to be security footage. It showed a laboratory where humans and Zephyrians worked side by side. Suddenly, one of the Zephyrians began to glow intensely. The humans in the room collapsed, their bodies withering rapidly as the Zephyrians seemed to absorb their very life force. Gasps of horror echoed through the chamber. Senator Blackwood's voice cut through the commotion. "This footage was taken from a secret research facility just hours ago. It seems our allies have been less than forthcoming about the full extent of their abilities, and their willingness to use them against us." Chaos erupted in the chamber. Accusations flew as delegates demanded explanations. Protection, retribution. Secretary General Corey called for order, but her pleas were drowned out by the cacophony of fear and anger. In the midst of the uproar, a small delegation entered the chamber. Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov walked alongside Xarlith, the Zephyrian leader, flanked by a team of human and Zephyrian scientists. "Enough." Alexei's voice, amplified by Zephyrian technology, cut through the noise like a knife. As silence fell, he continued, "The footage you've seen is real, but it's not what you think. Please, allow us to explain." Over the next hour, Alexei and his team presented their findings. The incident in the lab had been an accident. A Zephyrian researcher named Ilara had discovered a way to extend their species' lifespan by absorbing specific forms of energy. But the process had gone wrong, tapping into the bioelectric fields of nearby humans. Ilara sacrificed herself to stop the process, Alexei explained, his voice heavy with emotion. She chose to discorporate rather than harm her human colleagues. Those affected are already recovering in medical facilities. Xarlith's crystalline form pulsed with a deep, sorrowful blue. "We have hidden nothing from you, friends. We are still learning about our own potential, just as you are. We deeply regret any harm caused, and we understand if you wish us to leave. We will face the Confederation alone if we must." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. It was Secretary General Corey who finally broke the silence. "Even if what you say is true, the fact remains that the Confederation is at our doorstep. They're demanding we hand you over. If we refuse..." She didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone in the room knew what it meant to defy a technologically superior force. As if on cue, the screens lit up once more. General Vexcor's alien visage filled the display, his multiple eyes narrowing in what might have been amusement. "Your time grows short, humans. Perhaps a demonstration of our resolve is in order." The hologram in the center of the room shifted, showing a live feed from Earth's orbit. A beam of sickly green energy lanced out from the Confederation ship, striking the moon. Before the horrified eyes of Earth's leaders, a large chunk of the lunar surface simply vanished, leaving a perfectly spherical crater. Vexcor's voice oozed satisfaction. "That was merely a fraction of our power. You have one planetary rotation to surrender the Zephyrians, or we will begin systematically removing your cities from existence. Choose wisely." As the transmission cut off, an eerie silence fell over the chamber. The weight of the decision before them pressed down on every soul present. It was Alexei who finally spoke, his voice quiet but firm. "We can't give in to tyranny. If we surrender the Zephyrians, we're no better than the monsters threatening us. But more than that, we'd be giving up our greatest hope of survival." He gestured to the team around him. "In the months since the Zephyrians arrived, we've made advancements that should have taken decades. Quantum computing, clean energy, advancements in medicine. And yes, potential weapons. We're on the verge of breakthroughs that could level the playing field." Xarlith moved forward, its crystalline form shimmering with determination. "We offer all that we are to Earth's defense. Our knowledge, our energy, our very beings. We have seen humanity's capacity for compassion, for innovation, for sheer stubborn defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. It is why we chose to come here. And it is why, together, we believe we can stand against the Confederation. A murmur ran through the chamber, fear giving way to a cautious hope. Admiral Chen stood, her eyes blazing with newfound resolve. Give us 24 hours. Let our scientists work with the Zephyrians, unrestricted. If there's even a chance we can fight back, we need to take it. Secretary General Corey looked around the room, gauging the mood of the assembly. Slowly, heads began to nod in agreement. She took a deep breath, straightening her shoulders as she faced the weight of history. Very well. We will not bow to threats, nor will we abandon those who have placed their trust in us. Humanity stands with the Zephyrians. She turned to Admiral Chen. You have your 24 hours, Admiral. Make them count. As the chamber erupted into a flurry of activity, Alexei felt a mixture of pride and terror. Humanity had chosen to fight rather than submit, but the real challenge was just beginning. In the depths of space, the Confederation ship loomed, a silent threat promising destruction. On Earth, humans and Zephyrians raced against time, seeking a miracle to save two species. The countdown to either Earth's finest hour or its final moments had begun, forging the impossible. The subterranean complex beneath the Nevada desert hummed with frenetic energy. In the scant hours since Earth's defiant stand against the Galactic Confederation, the facility had transformed into a crucible of innovation, where the fate of two species hung in the balance. Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov's eyes burned from lack of sleep, but adrenaline kept him moving. He navigated through a maze of laboratories, each dedicated to a different aspect of their desperate plan. Human scientists worked alongside Zephyrian energy beings, the barriers between their species all but forgotten in the face of annihilation. In one room, a team huddled around a pulsating orb of pure energy, a miniature star contained by fields of Zephyrian design. If we can stabilize the reaction, a wild-eyed physicist muttered, we'll have a power source to rival a supernova. Next door, engineers argued over holographic schematics of a ship unlike anything humanity had ever conceived. Its hull would be a hybrid of advanced alloys and crystalline Zephyrian structures, designed to channel and amplify energy in ways that defied conventional physics. But it was in the central chamber that the true marvel took shape. Here, Karlith and a cadre of elder Zephyrians worked in concert with Earth's most brilliant minds. They were attempting to forge a weapon that could pierce the seemingly impenetrable defenses of the Confederation warship. Alexei approached the central platform, where Admiral Helena Chen stood watching the proceedings with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Progress report, Doctor, she asked, not taking her eyes off the swirling vortex of energy at the center of the room. We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible, Alexei admitted. The Zephyrians are tapping into fundamental forces of the universe that we barely understood existed. If we succeed, we'll rewrite the laws of physics. If we fail, he didn't need to finish the thought. Failure meant extinction. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as a voice boomed over the intercom. Security breach in Sector 9. Unknown intruders detected. Admiral Chen's hand flew to her sidearm. How the hell did anyone get past our defenses? Before Alexei could respond, the doors to the central chamber burst open. A squad of heavily armed soldiers poured in, led by a familiar face, Senator Harriet Blackwood. By order of the Emergency Security Council, Blackwood announced, her voice cold, this facility is now under government control. All Zephyrians are to be detained immediately. Chaos erupted. Scientists protested as soldiers began forcibly separating humans from their Zephyrian colleagues. Tarlith's crystalline form pulsed with alarm, other Zephyrians clustering protectively around their leader. Admiral Chen stepped forward, her voice cutting through the commotion. Senator Blackwood, you are interfering with a direct order from the Secretary General. Stand down immediately. Blackwood's lips curled into a sneer. The Secretary General is no longer in command, Admiral. We're facing extinction, and some of us aren't willing to pin our hopes on alien fairy tales and half-baked theories. As tensions rose, Alexei noticed something odd. One of Blackwood's soldiers was behaving strangely, hesitating as the others began rounding up Zephyrians. With a start, Alexei recognized him. It was Elio, the young Zephyrian he had befriended, somehow disguised in human form. Before Alexei could react, Elio made his move. The Zephyrian's human disguise melted away in a flash of brilliant light. In the moment of confusion that followed, Elio darted to the central platform, merging with the swirling energy vortex. The chamber filled with blinding radiance. When it faded, everyone stared in awe at what Elio had become. The young Zephyrian now pulsed with power that dwarfed anything they had seen before, tendrils of pure energy arcing out to touch each of his fellow Zephyrians. Elio's voice resonated in the minds of all present, human and Zephyrian alike. We will not be divided. Not by fear, not by tyranny, not by the vastness of space that separates our origins. Today, we forge a new path, together. As the Zephyrians linked through Elio's power, a wave of understanding washed over the humans in the room. In that moment, they saw through alien eyes. The beauty and terror of the cosmos, the weight of eons of knowledge, and the burning desire to create rather than destroy. Senator Blackwood staggered back, her composure shattered. What are you doing to us? Alexei stepped forward, his eyes shining with newfound clarity. They're showing us the truth, Senator. The Zephyrians aren't just refugees. They're the key to unlocking humanity's potential. And we're the key to saving them from extinction. As the moment of connection faded, the mood in the chamber had shifted dramatically. Soldiers lowered their weapons, scientists returned to their work with renewed vigor, and even Blackwood seemed at a loss for words. Admiral Chen seized the moment. Senator, I suggest you contact your emergency council. Tell them that if they want to save humanity, they need to let us do our job. Blackwood hesitated, then nodded slowly. As she and her soldiers withdrew, the chamber burst into action once more. But now, there was a new energy in the air, a sense of shared purpose that transcended species. With the distraction dealt with, Alexei turned his attention back to their monumental task. The breakthroughs came rapidly now, fueled by the perfect synergy of human intuition and Zephyrian knowledge. In the power generation lab, the contained star stabilized, providing enough energy to power a small country. The ship design finalized, incorporating technology that could bend space-time itself. And at the heart of it all, the weapon they had dreamed of began to take shape, a device that could unravel the fabric of reality itself, but only in a precisely targeted area. As the 24-hour deadline neared its end, Alexei found himself standing with Admiral Chen and Zarlith, looking at the fruits of their impossible labor. Will it be enough? Chen asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Zarlith's form shimmered thoughtfully. Against any other foe, I would say yes without hesitation. But the Confederation, they have resources beyond imagining. Weapons that can snuff out suns, shields that can withstand supernovas. But they've never faced anything like us before. Alexei interjected, a fierce grin on his face. Humanity's creativity and determination, combined with Zephyrian knowledge and power, we're something entirely new in the galaxy. Admiral Chen nodded, straightening her uniform. Well then, I suppose it's time to test that theory. Alexei, begin the launch sequence for our new ship. Zarlith, gather your best and brightest. We're taking the fight to the Confederation. As klaxons sounded throughout the facility, signaling the start of the most audacious mission in human history, Alexei felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. They were about to challenge the most powerful force in the galaxy with technology that had been theoretical mere hours ago. The crew, a mix of Earth's finest soldiers and scientists, along with a core group of Zephyrians, boarded the newly christened vessel. As the ship rose from its underground hangar, its hull shimmering with barely contained energy, Alexei looked out at the star-studded sky. Somewhere up there, the Confederation waited, confident in their superiority. They had no idea what was coming for them. Humanity had been pushed to the brink of extinction. Now, they would show the galaxy why that was a terrible mistake. Flames of defiance. The bridge of the HSS Defiant hummed with nervous energy as it approached the massive Confederation warship. Through the view screen, Earth hung like a fragile blue marble, a stark reminder of what they were fighting for. Admiral Helena Chen sat in the captain's chair, her face a mask of determination. To her right, Dr. Alexei Kuznetsov monitored the ship's hybrid systems, his fingers dancing over holographic displays. On her left, Xarlith's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained power. Status report, Chen barked, her eyes never leaving the looming threat ahead. All systems nominal. Alexei responded. The Zephyrian power core is stable, and our new shields are holding. Xarlith's mental voice resonated through the minds of the crew. Our energy reserves are at maximum. We are ready to deploy the reality warping weapon at your command, Admiral. Chen nodded grimly. Let's hope we don't have to use it. Open a channel to the Confederation ship. The view screen flickered, revealing the alien visage of General Vexkor. His multiple eyes narrowed as he took in the strange vessel before him. So the primitives have some tricks up their sleeves. Vexkor sneered. Your time has expired, humans. Surrender the Zephyrians now, or watch your world burn. Admiral Chen stood, her voice steady. We will do no such thing, General. The Zephyrians are under our protection. We propose a different solution. Leave our system in peace, and we'll forget this unfortunate incident ever happened. Vexkor's laughter was a grating screech that set everyone's teeth on edge. You dare to threaten the Galactic Confederation. Allow me to demonstrate the folly of your defiance. The screen went dark, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then, a beam of sickly green energy lanced out from the Confederation ship, aimed directly at Earth. Alexei's heart leaped into his throat. If that beam hit, millions would die in an instant. But the beam never reached its target. Inches from the Defiant's hull, it splashed harmlessly against an iridescent barrier of pure energy. Impossible. Vexkor's voice boomed over the comms. No shield can withstand that level of power. Alexei couldn't help but grin. It's not just a shield, you xenophotic squid. It's a fusion of Zephyrian energy manipulation and human ingenuity, something your rigid, tyrannical minds could never conceive. The Confederation ship launched a barrage of attacks. Missiles, energy beams, even what looked like miniature black holes. Each assault was absorbed or deflected by the Defiant's revolutionary defenses. Enough of this, Chen growled. Alexei, Xarlith, let's show them what we can really do. At her command, the Defiant sprang into action. It moved with impossible speed and grace, more like a living creature than a starship. Beams of concentrated Zephyrian energy lanced out, slicing through the Confederation ship's shields like they were tissue paper. Vexkor's voice came again, this time tinged with panic. All ships, converge on the human vessel. Obliterate them. From the depths of space, a swarm of Confederation cruisers emerged from stealth, surrounding the Defiant in a deadly net. They're powering up some kind of superweapon, Alexei warned, his fingers flying over the controls. Energy readings are off the charts. Chen's eyes hardened. Xarlith, it's time. Deploy the RWG. Xarlith's form pulsed with acknowledgement. At the heart of the Defiant, the reality warping device hummed to life. It was the pinnacle of human Zephyrian cooperation, a weapon that could rewrite the laws of physics in a localized area. As the Confederation fleet unleashed their combined firepower, a sphere of distorted space-time enveloped the Defiant. The incoming attacks twisted and warped, some turning back on their sources, others fading into non-existence. By the cosmic core, Vexkor breathed, his arrogance replaced by awe. What are you? Alexei stepped forward, his voice ringing with pride. We are humanity, General. We took in refugees you deemed worthless and found in them the key to unlocking the universe's potential. We faced extinction and forged it into the fires of innovation. We are no longer just humans, no longer just Spherians. We are the future of this galaxy, whether you like it or not. For a moment, silence reigned across the battlefield. Then, to everyone's surprise, laughter echoed through the comms, not Vexcor's grating screech, but a warm, rich sound. The view screen flickered, and a new face appeared. This being was radiant, its form constantly shifting between states of energy and matter. When it spoke, its voice resonated with the power of eons. Well done, children of Earth and Zephyria. You have passed the test. Confusion rippled through the Defiance crew. Chen stepped forward, her brow furrowed. Test? What are you talking about? Who are you? The being's form coalesced into a more humanoid shape. I am Elzar, overseer of the true Galactic Council. The confederation you faced was a construct, a challenge we present to emerging species to test their worthiness. Exarlith's form pulsed with shock. But our exile, our persecution, it felt so real. Elzen nodded sympathetically. The test had to be genuine, the stakes real. Only then could we see your true potential. The Zephyrian's exile was a catalyst, humanity's response the crucible. Together, you have achieved something truly remarkable. As the implications sank in, a mix of emotions swept through the Defiant: relief, anger, confusion, pride. Alexei stepped forward, his voice trembling slightly. So what happens now? Elzen's form shimmered with what might have been a smile. Now you take your place among the stars. The true Galactic Council welcomes both humanity and the Zephyrians as full members. Your union has birthed technologies and philosophies that will reshape our understanding of the cosmos. Admiral Chen straightened her uniform, ever the diplomat. We are honored by the invitation, Overseer Elzen. But know this, we come as equals, not supplicants. Our first act as members will be to ensure no other species faces the trauma and fear we endured during this test. Elzen's form pulsed with approval. We would expect nothing less. Admiral, your fierce commitment to justice and compassion is precisely why you have earned this place. As the Defiant began its journey back to Earth, its crew jubilant with their victory and the promise of a bright future, Alexei found himself standing between Admiral Chen and Tarlith. You know, he mused, a few months ago, I was excited about teaching the Zephyrian how to use a doorknob. Now we're rewriting the laws of physics and joining the galactic community. Funny how things change. Chen allowed herself a rare smile. Oh, I don't know, Doctor. Some things remain constant, like humanity's knack for turning impossible situations to our advantage. Exarlith's form shimmered with what Alexei had learned to recognize as amusement, and the Zephyrian's ability to find wonder in the simplest human inventions. I still think doorknobs are fascinating, by the way. As laughter filled the bridge, Earth grew larger in the view screen. It was still the same blue marble, but to its inhabitants, the universe had become infinitely larger and more wondrous. The flame of defiance that had started as a desperate bid for survival had become a beacon of hope, not just for two species, but for an entire galaxy. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, hand in hand with the allies they had chosen to protect. The adventure was only just beginning.